What if I told you that depression is not a mental health issue, but an identity issue? You're not sick. You don't know who you are. And when you don't know who you are, you can be convinced that normal human emotions of sadness and being tired, being confused, feeling lost, all of these things that we all experience, you can be convinced that these things are a disease. So watch this. I want to talk about the definition of depression, the definition of identity, and kind of break the two down. So let's look at the definition or the symptoms of depression: persistent sadness, loss of interest in activities, fatigue, sleep disturbances, changes in appetite or weight, difficulty concentrating, and thoughts of death and suicide. Okay, so now let's look at identity here. Okay, and this is the definition that I like the most. There's a lot. The state or fact of being the same as one described, and then the condition or character as to who a person or what a thing is, the qualities, beliefs, etc., that distinguish or identify a person or thing. And then there's one identity in mathematics that says an equation that is valid for all values of its variables. Okay, so an equation of all its variables. Okay, so what are the things that make up the qualities and beliefs that identify a person? Okay, so when you know these things about yourself, when you know your beliefs and when you know your identity, and when you know who you are and what you stand for, you cannot be convinced that something that is normal exists. And this is a brilliant chess move by the enemy and the powers that be to make up something, right? To come up with a diagnosis of a disease that they say, and then be the same people that provide you the fix. Isn't that interesting? So you talk about how there is a whole category of medicine created around this one idea. There's a whole category of doctrine created around this one idea. And then there's also money and employment around this one idea about mental health, okay? And again, I would argue that on, even for myself, and I'll start here, is not a lot of people know that from about 18 to 24, I was on antidepressants. I thought about suicide. Transparently enough, I thought all the time, like, wouldn't it just be better if I wasn't here? Like, I honestly feel like what I'm feeling now, which is all of this: sadness, loss of interest, fatigue, sleep disturbances, change in appetite or weight, difficulty concentrating, thoughts of death or suicide. I experienced all these things. And I thought that they were so amplified and they were so strong that it would be better if I just stopped them all and I just wasn't here. I didn't know who I was. Not only did I not know who I was, I had never been through anything hard. Okay. And I want to talk a little bit also about perception mixed with identity. So I saw a quote that changed my life forever. And it said, "It's not what you're looking at, it's what you see." Okay. Let me repeat that. It's not what you're looking at, it's what you see. How is it that one person can see something completely different than another person, and they're both looking at the same thing, the same situation, the same circumstance, and they have two completely different ways of looking at it? How is this possible? I believe that this is your superpower within yourself, is your perspective, which is mixed in with your identity and your beliefs. When I was 18 to 24, I bought into all of the lies and all of the bullshit about mental health. And if you're offended by this, I'm sorry. You can click off this video and watch one that pours into the bullshit that you've been fed. I bought into the lies because I didn't know who I was. Now I have an idea and a belief system rooted in God and about life that these things don't exist. I don't believe in depression. I understand the science behind it, okay? I do. But over time, I have convinced myself, again, based upon my life experience, based upon my belief in faith, and based upon going through hard things, going through that season from 18 to 24 where I literally wanted to commit suicide and coming out the other side, that what if this actually doesn't exist? What if I am so powerful, and I'm going to start here, I'm so powerful with my perspective and my imagination and my creativity that I'm amplifying these problems in my life so much that I'm now experiencing sadness, anxiety, empty, anxious, loss of interest or pleasure in life, feeling worthless or guilt, irritability, lack of sleep, all of these things, okay? Your perspectives are driven by your beliefs about what you believe about yourself and about life. Your creativity, which is your imagination, is what drives your beliefs. If I don't believe that sadness or anxiousness or loss of interest or feeling worthless or all these things are a sickness, but they are thoughts passing through that, watch this, don't serve me, is there any possible way that I can reject them and hear them, obviously, because they're coming through? And let me just be transparent here. I'm 10 years removed from the antidepressants and the thoughts of suicide, but I still deal with some of these things. If I wake up one day and I'm anxious or I'm feeling, fatigue, or if I'm feeling, like I'm worthless, am I just, there's a spell cast on me and I'm just going to ingest that. I'm just going to take that and I'm just going to take it to the grave. That's just the belief because this thing said so. And there's a narrative around this that says that, oh, you need something. We need to fix this. You need a pill. You need to sit down and talk to somebody about the exact thing that's making you sad and not do anything about it. And that's how they get you on this rat wheel. Or is it a possibility that I'm feeling normal human emotions based upon the perspectives and the beliefs rooted in those perspectives that I have at this current time from my experiences? You need to find out who you are. You need to find out what you believe. You need to understand your identity. And the reason I say this, and I think all of these things persist in our life, is imagine that, there's a scientific study that says there is a 1 to 400 trillion chance of you being here and you being born. And then there's a scripture that says, before you were born, I knew you. I carefully knitted you in your mother's womb. So imagine the miracle of you being here. And you understand that, okay? Subconsciously, you understand it's a miracle to be here. And then you come here and you live a life of just dullness, right? You're created with uniqueness, and then you blend into the crowd. And that's a survival instinct, is to just blend in. It's to just do what's normal and to do what everybody else is doing. But everybody else is captured in this same bubble that all they have to do is pop to break out of as you are. So then you are identifying and your beliefs start getting wrapped around in the collective when the collective all believes in the bullshit that you don't want to believe. Imagine identifying with something, right? This idea of this sickness or this disease that you don't want. And then, because of all of these things, and because of the internet, and because of the information that's available, and because of all the new studies and all the things and the groups that you can be involved in, you will go to war for this thing. You don't understand. I'm depressed. You'll never understand me. You never understand what I've been through. Blah, blah, blah. Watch this. I thought we didn't want this. Nobody, I could list off all these things again, and I can guarantee 10 out of 10 or 100 out of 100 or a million out of a million people don't want these things. But you will do everything in your power once you believe that this is just a spell cast upon you to defend it, go to war for it, and then continue the cycle. You have to figure out, and this is an uncomfortable truth, that every man must search his own soul to break out of this. It's an uncomfortable truth that you need to find out how you can change your identity around what you believe about yourself and about this world and about the way that this life is supposed to be experienced. And unplug yourself from these ideas that normal human emotions are a sickness. And find rooted in your beliefs and changing your perspectives that maybe this is all just made up. And maybe this is not that bad. And maybe I'm just not grateful for the things that I have. Or maybe I'm just not grateful that I'm able to draw breath in the morning. For the smallest things, maybe I'm just not grateful. And that's why I feel like no matter where I look, that everything is a disaster, which then makes me spiral down the hole of all this. And guess what? Everything that you believe, especially with the tools that are given to you, especially with this thing that's in your hand, there is a identity for you rooted in that thing. But there's also something that's rooted in the complete opposite, which is the person you actually are in your uniqueness. You are perfectly crafted, 1 to 400 trillion chance of you being here. You're literally a miracle. And you think that all of these things are just a sickness and a spell cast upon you that you have to live with forever, and there's just no way to break out. I want you to think about this. I want you to sit with this, and I want you to start thinking about, who am I as a person? What do I believe about this life? Am I going to allow a controlled narrative about my mental health when these people don't even know me? They don't know anything about me. I'm going to let them control the narrative and the story that's running in my head. If you made it all the way to the end of this video and this message resonated with you, I work with men one-on-one about these things that I just spoke about. And I have a men's group, which is also in the description in the pinned comment. Like and subscribe. See you guys in the next one.